All right, we'd like to invite Vinay Gupta for telling us the story of the animal farm. Yes, Vinay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. First of all, ma'am, Animal Farm was written by George Orwell, ma'am.
Mhm.
And ma'am, in this story, ma'am, it basically signifies that how when power gets associated with someone, how it corrupts that particular man, ma'am. The story was set in the Stalin thing, ma'am, Stalin era, ma'am, where the it is being where there is a farm, ma'am. There was a farm and there were some animals, but there was a leader of all the
All right. What was the name of the farm?
and animal farm, ma'am.
Yeah. And who was the owner of the animal farm?
Actually, I didn't revise it, ma'am. It's just too quick, so that is why certain things are missing.
Mr. John, ma'am. Mr. John.
Mr. Jones. So what was what kind of what type of character was Mr. Jones like? What kind of a person was he? And why were the animals so angry with him?
He used to
Okay, I'm giving chance to Vinay Gupta and then I'll ask questions. Okay, Vinay, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, he used to do all those activities, ma'am. He just like do the like leadership, do the leadership, ma'am, on the animals, ma'am. Like he used to take whatever the animals they give, ma'am. They used to take it and sell it in the market, and he just torture the animals, ma'am. So the animals were combined together, and there was a old major ma'am, who decided to start the revolt, ma'am, against that, but against Mr. Jones, ma'am, and the animals combinedly togetherly, ma'am, they just remove that Mr. Jones from the farm, ma'am. Mr. Jones.
One minute. The rest of the students, please mute yourself. We do not want any orchestra music. Yeah.
1 minute, ma'am.
Okay.
Decided to when they decided to put their voice against Mr. Jones, ma'am, they combinedly remove Mr. Jones out of the farm, ma'am, and now they after the getting free from his reason, ma'am, from Mr. Jones' reason, ma'am, they just made some rules, ma'am, rules and regulations like two legs are bad, things like that, ma'am, and
Okay.
no one.
Okay. What were the commandments? What were the 7 rules that they put up on the wall?
No one will drink, ma'am, first of all. Second point is, ma'am, no one will sleep on bed. And two legs bad, ma'am. 1 leg good.
One leg?
4 legs. No, ma'am.
8 legs.
Where will you find 1 leg?
Two leg bats and 4 leg goats.
4 leg goats.
Okay. Okay. What about the birds? 2 legs with birds are wings, with a bird. 2 legs with wings will be friends, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, continue.
So, ma'am, and then the old major dies, ma'am. After just making the revolt, ma'am, the old major dies, and there was a pig, ma'am, whose name is Napoleon, ma'am. He just took up the leadership after the old major, ma'am. After the old major dies, and there was a horse, ma'am, whose name was Boxer, ma'am. He
Okay.
was a
What was one character about the boxer?
what, ma'am?
What was his character, the boxer?
Yes, ma'am. He was a very laborious animal, ma'am. Like whenever there was a construction going on, and he just did all those things, like taking the bricks, stones from that, and just putting it on the wall, ma'am. So he was more of a gentle and more of a, ma'am, more gentle kind of a person, ma'am. He didn't knew that what is good, and like
Okay.
we can say that.
Okay. In society, what does boxer represent? Whom does boxer represent in society?
The inferior part of society, ma'am. Like they are the society, the part of society which are not know that what is good and what is bad. Like whatever they are supposed to, whatever they are ordered to do, they just do it.
No. Boxer represents the middle class. They work hard.
Yes, ma'am. But the boxer didn't know about the like, ma'am. What can we say that,
Okay.
ma'am?
Boxer represents the middle class. Okay.
Okay.
Now you continue. Continue.
So, ma'am, he just used to do all those hard works, ma'am, and Napoleon used to take the benefit from boxer and the animals, ma'am. Then he started changing the amendments in the rule, ma'am. Like whatever the rules was made, Napoleon, according to his comfort level, ma'am, according to his comfort, he just started to making changes in the rules, ma'am. Like ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I'm telling it. Yes, ma'am. You can, like, there was a rule, ma'am. You can sleep on bed, but without bed sheets, kind of a thing, ma'am.
Like no. The first rule which was changed was all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal.
Yes, ma'am.
The exception. So they were getting all the benefits. They were eating all the good food, and the leftovers were given to the whatever was left.
Even the Napoleon group, ma'am, started drinking also, ma'am, which was not in the rule, ma'am. So they started violating.
Okay. What were the names of the other pigs who were in charge? Like there were 3 pigs, Napoleon and 2 other. One which was a very honest person.
A snowball, man. A snowball.
Yes. Why was Snowball driven from the animal farm?
Because Napoleon knew, ma'am, if a snowball would be there, he may make certain changes. He may become a stone in his path, ma'am.
Why? Because he was honest.
Yes,
And all honest people are driven away by the dishonest rulers.
Corrupted people.
Yeah. So he was driven away. And the story is so beautiful. Like you have to look into the matters, like who represents what.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There was a story of the character of a horse, which was a very fashionable kind of. She represents the elite youngster, the rich young girl of the upper class. What was the name of that horse? A white horse.
In Animal Farm, ma'am.
Yeah, in Animal Farm. She used to always have a red ribbon, and she was beautiful, and she was always talking to other people. Benjamin. Anybody in the group? Anybody in the group?
Please repeat the question, ma'am.
I'm talking about the white horse. The horses in the animal farm. What were their names? Look, characters are very important. If you are reading a novel, you must know who is who. And which animal represented Karl Marx? Which animal represented Karl Marx? You know, this is a beautiful novel. I would advise all of you to revise, go back, watch the movie again.
Actually, ma'am, we have watched it way before, so that's why lack of revision is the reason. Because
all right, you watch it again and then you discuss it, because you need to see the story again and again. And this is such a beautiful story written by the author who
George Orwell.
Yes, George Orwell, and he was born in
Motihari.
yeah,
Motihari.
more so. And if you know the characters, you'll know the story. Okay.
Yes.
So and there are a lot of characters, and if you know the characters one by one, you will be almost prepared to come up with any kind of presentation. So the characters are important. The entire characters are important, and you have to write the characters of people in the for your exams also, and even otherwise you should know.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. All right. Idioms and phrases is a far cry. So of course, we'll definitely do that. And we have been doing this anyways. But then let us take, for instance, the animal farm. You already know something. It's not that you do not know anything. You know something about animal farm and what is what. So yes, Aman Kumar, can you discuss the characters? Anybody can discuss the characters? Anybody in the group BCA, BSc.IT? Anybody? Any person who can discuss the characters of animal farm? No? No one. And please keep your cameras on, guys. Anyways, I'm doing a little recap, and then you'll know who is who. And it is going to be a revision. And after that, we'll see what is lacking. Like I told you, I'll ask questions, and if I do not get the answers, I'll start revising. So let's revise animal farm. Can you see the screen? Hello, can you see the screen?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No. No?
No, it's
Yes,
fine.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, animal farm. It's a simple tale with a deep meaning. A simple tale with a deep meaning. Everybody please mute. A lot of background music coming. And if you want to ask something, you can raise your hand. Yeah. Can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What kind of a tale is animal farm? So it's a simple tale with a deep meaning. And when I ask you to make a presentation, you always introduce the topic. Animal farm characters. Main characters and sub characters. Napoleon, as Vinayak, you were talking about Napoleon. Snowball. You spoke about Snowball. Boxer. Boxer was also a very important character in Animal Farm. He was a horse. Other names, Clover. Who was Clover? Squealer, Old Major, Benjamin, Jones, Molly, Moses, Bluebell, Frederick, Jesse, Minimus, Muriel, Pilkington, Pincher, and Viper. You know all these characters? Are you aware of it?
Little bit, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
You know them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when I ask you to discuss Clover, you discuss Clover. Squealer, discuss Squealer. So farmer, the owner of the farm was Mr. Jones. His name was Jones, Farmer Jones, the irresponsible owner of the farm. He was irresponsible. It means he was not taking care of the farm. He was not taking care of the animals in the farm. And he was not wicked, but he was a person who was always at his own whims, and he was always drunk. So that is why he was, though he was not wicked, but he just could not handle the responsibilities. So he lets his animals starve and beats them with a whip. Matlab, does not give them any food. He used to come late, as you must have seen in the movie. He comes home, he bangs the door, and then he goes to sleep without serving food to the animals. And he often beats them with a whip. Whip एक छड़ी की तरह होता है जो कि उसको पीटता था उन लोगों animals को. Sometimes he shows random kindness. कभी कभी once in a blue moon, sometimes random kindness वो show करता था. But otherwise he was one person who was a very irresponsible person who could not manage, who could not handle animal farm. And he represents Tsar Nicholas II. He was a very weak Russian leader during the early 1990s, often cruel and brutal to his subjects. Just like he was very cruel to the subject, Mr. Jones was very cruel to his animals. And it displays isolated kindness. And isolated kindness means he was kind to some in a hidden way. He was kind to some, but then he was one person who was known for his cruelty and his brutal behavior अपने subject के साथ अपना लोगों. Read about the Tsar Nicholas II and you'll know the character of the Tsar Nicholas II, and you will understand what kind of a person was Farmer Jones, because Jones was created as Tsar Nicholas II. Old Major. Now, Old Major, an old boar or old pig whose speech rouses the animals into rebellion. He was old, he was wise, and he represents Karl Marx. His philosophy is called animalism. This was his philosophy. The Old Major, his philosophy is called animalism. He teaches animals the song of freedom, beasts of England. What happened? Before he died, he forced the animals to listen to him. And then why the animals listened to him? Because he was the oldest major, and he was one boar, one pig who always prize winning boar. He always won prizes. उसको बहुत prizes भी मिला था उसको. And he teaches animals the song of freedom, which is very important, because the animals, you must have seen in the movie, the animals singing a song, which was Beasts of England. He's talking about beasts, matlab ki they are not the beast, but the beast according to Old Major, according to the animals, this Mr. Jones was the beast. And they did not like Mr. Jones because of him. Because of Jones, they were going without food and they were starving. So one reason they did not like Mr. Jones was because he did not give them food. And secondly, he was being cruel to them and he was beating them up. And then there's Snowball. He is a young boar who becomes one of the rebellion's most valuable leaders. So very close to three pigs were very close, like a young boar, Snowball, who becomes one of the rebellion's most valuable leaders. He draws complicated plans for the windmill, and there was the windmill, as you must have seen. He draws complicated plans, and he teaches himself to read and write. And he was a very hardworking. Snowball was very hardworking, and he was liked by the other animals. And there's Boxer. Boxer is an asset. In Animal Farm, Boxer एक asset है. And he's always supporting Napoleon. And he always has one dialogue. Napoleon is always right. Napoleon can never be wrong. And Napoleon is always right. So there's some slides which give the which will give you some insight. Animals spend summer harvesting the crops, best harvest the farm ever has known. And Molly horse and the cat are the only animals who constantly get out of working. So we are talking about after the rebellion, the harvesting was very good, and Molly, the horse, and the cat are the only animals who constantly get out of working. So Molly doesn't work, and a cat represents the upper class, the elite class. He doesn't work. They just sit and enjoy the comfort of the enjoy the comfort, and they get out of work. They never work. Molly and the rebellion. This is Molly. Vinayak, I was talking to you about Molly. She was a white horse. Molly was, she never works. Like in this slide, you saw that Molly kabhi kaam nahi karti thi. She was only dressed up and trying to look beautiful, like the upper class, the elite class children. काम वाम नहीं करती थी, and just like the cat, even cat was not working. She was only अपने comfort पे रहती, आराम से कुर्सी पे बैठी रहती. So Molly, the rebellion, she did not listen to anything which Napoleon was saying. She was not bothered. कहाँ क्या हो रहा है? She was just not bothered. She was only worried about candy मिलेगा कि नहीं, ये होगा कि नहीं, अपना benefit के बारे में सोचती थी. She only thought about her benefit and her happiness. And she was always seen, they were not allowed to talk to anybody, to talk to any outsider, especially the men, the people around. But Molly Hamisha, because she was beautiful, she was always talking. She used to let other outsiders, like this person, she likes to be patted, she likes to be praised, that yes, you are very beautiful. इसको अच्छा लगता था बाहर के लोगों से बात करना, and she enjoyed that. तो उसको जो attention मिलता था, she used to enjoy that attention. कि जबकि allowed नहीं था, you're not supposed to talk to anybody outside. But she was a rebellion, वो बात करती थी. And now let us talk about the minor characters. The dogs. The dogs in the are the Bluebell. The dogs become the police for Napoleon. Dogs क्या था? They were the policemen. They were groomed. They were trained to be the policemen. Originally, there are 3 dogs in the farm, on the farm. Bluebell.
Not audible, ma'am.
I'm not audible.
Your voice is getting stuck in between, ma'am.
Yes,
Unstable connection. I do not know. I'm trying my level best. What about now?
clear, ma'am.
Clear. Okay, there are 3 dogs. There are 3
Clear.
dogs. There are 3 dogs in an animal farm. उनके names हैं Bluebell, Jessie, and Pincher. When Bluebell and Jessie give birth to 9 puppies between them, Napoleon says he will educate the young puppies and secluded them in a loft in which he trains them to be his personal guard. So Jessie, the moment they were born, the puppies were born, what did Napoleon do? He hid them, जाके छुपा दिया कहीं लॉफ्ट में, और वहां उनको फेरोशियस बनाया, खूंखार बनाया, ट्रेन किया, पुलिस डॉग्स बनाया उसको, and he trains them to be his personal guard. The dogs became his weapons of terror, and when they became adults, they were the terrors, and they hold a very important place in animal farm. These dogs, the puppies, who were the police. आप पूछेंगे who the police in animal farm? आपको बताना पड़ेगा. The puppies,
Dogs.
the dogs, the puppies of Bluebell, Jessie, and Pincher.
Puppies.
Yeah. And who were their parents? Bluebell, Jessie, and Pincher, and all put together. They were the parents, and the dogs became the weapons, and they were trained to be so cruel, and they became the terror. Anything which happened, वो उन लोग को बिल्कुल भगा देता था, और भगा देने के लिए किसी को भी. They chased Snowball away. ये dogs थे. They were so ferocious that Snowball had to run for his life. अगर वो नहीं दौड़ता, तो he would have been killed. So just imagine how ferocious they were, how strong they were. खूंखार कितने थे वो लोग?
फिर से नेट
Hello? Hello, can you hear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Now the pigs. The dogs over. Understood? Now the pigs. The cleverest animals on the farm. They were the सबसे clever, सबसे शातिर, सबसे चालाक. The cleverest animals on the farm. They find it easier to learn to read and write. They were very clever and quickly they learned to read and write and understand animalism. And they understood what is animalism. And so they teach the other animals. So वो पहले सीखे वो लोग. They were so smart, they were so clever, the pigs, that they learned and then they taught the other animals. They do not produce food by their own labor. वो काम नहीं करते थे. They were not working hard. They do not produce food by their own labor, but say they are the brain workers. अब वो कहते थे कि हम लोग काम नहीं करेंगे, हम लोग ब्रेन वर्कर हैं, दिमाग से काम लेते हैं. That is why we need more food. So they are the brain worker and became the leaders of the farm. And because they are the brain worker, they needed more food. ऐसा उनका कहना था. One of the male pigs, only Snowball and Napoleon, are boars except for breeding, and others are focused like they have been. They were sold. Except these 3 pigs, बाकी सबको लोग sell कर देते थे for business. Now we talk about Muriel. Muriel is a white goat. You must understand to know animal farm, you must know the characters. So who was Muriel? So Muriel was the white goat. She learns to read even better than the dogs can. वो पढ़ना सीख ली. She learns to read and she learns it better than, she learns to read even better than the dogs can. And sometimes reads to the others in the evenings from scraps of newspaper. और कभी-कभी टाइम पास के लिए वो न्यूज़पेपर उठा करके और उसको पढ़ती थी वो, that white goat, which she finds on the rubbish heap. जो फेंका हुआ होता था रबिश पे, उसको वो उठा के और वो पढ़ती थी for the other animals. Who? Muriel was the white goat. The minority of working class who are educated. So Muriel represent करती है educated class को. A goat who believes in the rebellion, she watches as animals farm slips away from its founding principles. वो देख रही थी किस तरह से जो रूल बना था वो धीरे धीरे रूल चेंज हो रहा था. Like all animals are equal, some animals are more equal. Why we need to eat good food, better food, more food? Because we are working with all the time. We are brain workers. So we need more fuel to think. So Muriel saw everything, what was happening. Because she represents the minority of working class who are educated. So Muriel represents the minority of working class people who are educated enough to decide things for themselves and find critical and hypocritical problems with their leaders. They understand the problems, they can find out the problems, and they can think for themselves. They can decide for themselves. Unfortunately, for the other animals, Muriel is not charismatic or inspired enough to take action and oppose Napoleon and his pigs. But unfortunately, Muriel she does not have any guts to oppose Napoleon. किसी की वहाँ हिम्मत नहीं थी कि नेपोलियन के खिलाफ जाना. Because everybody knew that the moment you go against Napoleon, he is going to send his dogs to you and he will either have you killed or chase you away from the farm. So she does not have the guts, though she understands everything, but she is afraid to take action against, to even think about going against Napoleon. And the other pigs are Minibus. Minibus, he is poetic. I know my internet connection is not stable, but I'm trying my level best. Minibus एक pig था जो कि लिखता था, poetry लिखता था. He was a content writer. So Minibus, a poet pig who writes the second and third national anthems of Animal Farm after the singing of Beast of England. So the Beast of England is banned now, and Minibus writes another anthem, another set of rules. The piglets, hinted to be the children of Napoleon, and the piglets are supposed to be the children of Napoleon. The young pigs, 4 pigs who complained about Napoleon, take over of the farm, but are quickly silenced and later executed. So ये 4 young pigs थे. जो होता है ना, जो student revolution, students का strong body होता है, वो they are very strong. So they stand up against Napoleon, and they take it up as a task. और बाद में क्या हुआ? They were killed. They were silenced, and later they were done to death. They were killed. Pink eye. Now, who is pink eye? Vinayak?
Don't know, ma'am, about this.
All right. Pink eye था. Napoleon was a great person, so उसका जो खाना जो बनता था, he was a food taster. क्योंकि उसको poison तो कोई नहीं कर रहा. He was the pink eye was the food taster. कि वो taste करता था तभी Napoleon खाता था. So a minor pig who is mentioned only once, he is the pig that tastes Napoleon's food to make sure it is not poisoned. In response to rumors about an assassination attempt on Napoleon. एक बार assassination का attempt हुआ था, एक rumor हुआ था कि somebody is going to assassinate, kill Napoleon. तो उसके बाद से pink eye appointed हुआ था. It was a young pig. तो कि मरेगा तो मरने दो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. अगर poison कर रहा है तो पहले pink eye मरेगा. So pink eye was a very important person. Only once it was mentioned, but then he had to be kept for tasting Napoleon's food. I believe that's it for today, and we'll continue with this if that makes some sense to you. These are the farmers, the nearing farmers. We'll talk about in the next class.
Yes.
Yeah. So was the slide any help? Those slides, was it any help for you? Help to you? Did you did everything come back? Could you remember?
मैम ग्रुप में सेंड कर दीजिए.
वो तो हम कर ही देंगे. आपको समझ में कितना है पहले बताइए. ये always depending on group में भेज दीजिएगा.
There are some characters which I didn't know, ma'am, but from the slide I get to know, like the pink eye and
The names, the Molly, Minibus.
yes, ma'am. That horse also I didn't know.
Okay, you did not know that horse. She represents the high class and upper class children. तो काम हम कुछ नहीं करते हैं और they are rebellions. मुझे घर रात में बाहर जाना है, मुझे ये करना वो करना. तो Molly was a rebellion. कहा गया था किसी से बात नहीं करने के लिए, but she was always looking for attention, and she was beautiful.
Napoleon is also a very afraid kind of a person, ma'am, because he is just taking a particular pig for taste. After tasting it, then he is eating it. So
he is representing.
It also says
Yes, because it's animal farm to animal farm, but it is history, no? Whatever is happening in animal farm already has happened somewhere.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is just portrayed in this form, ma'am.
Yes, just for children to understand, they have taken the form of characters. But it is a beautiful story. It is. It really is. They say, no, power corrupts. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's all for today.